This year, my resolutions were not about what I wanted to do or what I wanted to have or even where I wanted to go. This year, my resolutions were all about who I wanted to become. I thought long and hard about this. I didn't want to be someone who was back and forth, 10 steps forward and 5 steps back. I didn't want to be someone who was always going back on my resolutions or finding myself in a rut of past behavior. I wanted to make lasting improvements little by little each day that would pay immeasurable dividends over time. Way too often, we spend a lot of time focused on outcome and results. Much of what we do revolves around what we hope to get out of it. And this applies to everything from interpersonal relationships to work and school. If we don't get the desired outcome, one of two things generally happens. We quit because, what's the point? Or we devolve into a state of chronic frustration. Chronic frustration looks like a constant ebb and flow of highs and lows, where you have peak moments of optimism and expectancy, followed by low moments of disappointment and resentment. This occurs over and over again in what feels like a never-ending cycle. Scripture tells us that hope deferred makes the heart sick. It also tells us that a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. Sometimes you have a hope to lose weight, for example, or have more disposable income, or even get better grades. You long for this hope, but there isn't much that you can do to bring about its fulfillment, at least not anytime soon. So what happens if you change the object of your longing? There isn't much in life that you can control, so why not just focus on the things you can? Longing for outcomes and results is an easy way to fall into patterns of chronic frustration. Oftentimes, we see the process as a means to an end, the end being the desired goal or outcome. It's good to have goals, no one's denying that, but what if you flip the relationship? What if you shift your perspective so that the process isn't just the means to the end, but it becomes the end in itself? The goal simply becomes the means to mapping out your process. For example, instead of saying, I want to lose 10 pounds by spring break, say, I want to develop healthier eating habits and break out of my sedentary lifestyle. Instead of saying you want a spotless apartment, focus on incorporating the 10-minute clean into your daily routine. I personally have seen the benefits of doing something like this. Habits are really hard to start. There's a lot of inertia when it comes to breaking patterns of past behavior. But once you break past that initial resistance, a habit becomes automatic. So when I started law school, there was a lot going on, very hectic schedule, always busy. But I'm also someone who really likes a very clean and orderly environment. I find disorderly environments to be very distracting. So I incorporated the 10-minute clean into my routine, and now it's like autopilot. And this is such a quick and easy way to make sure that my apartment stays clean and orderly, even when I'm super duper busy, and the mess never piles up. So I know it seems like these shifts are really small and insignificant, so much so that they don't bear mentioning, but that's the point. There's this quote that I love that really gets to the heart of what I'm saying. In Atomic Habits, James Clear writes, "When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stonecutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two. And I know it was not that last blow that did it, but all that had gone before." When you begin building a new habit, it feels like it isn't making a difference at all, and that is frustrating. So I find it's helpful to shift focus, just like I said earlier. If you focus on hammering away at the rock, for example, and consider every single blow to be a win, whether the rock splits when you expect it to or not, then it's much easier to be content. Each time you honor the process, you get to feel good about that. And one day, whether it be on the 101st or 1001st blow, you'll find you finally made a difference. So I'm focused on processes and habits, not goals and results. And I have already realized most of my resolutions by honoring the process. My old goals are now just tools for fine-tuning my process. They are no longer the center of my focus. And I have found that this is the best way to be content in all seasons, at every step of the journey. So with respect to my goal, I have not yet achieved it, but I focus on this one thing. Forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead, I press on.